day. It's a good day for the Pittsburgh Baseball Club. Let's start right there. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins, the same place that you found this, just in case anyone was unaware that actual baseball was played after the trade deadline. It was. Pirates 6, Astros 2 last night in Houston. There's a chance at a 3-game sweep of a pretty good opponent tonight at Minute Maid Park. But let's not pretend that was going to be anybody's headline on the day. Not when Ben Cherington capped a week in which he made 7 trades. Now, not any of them was, whoa, I can't believe that they got that guy or that they gave up this guy. And in fact, 3 of those 7 trades really didn't have much of anything to do with the Pittsburgh roster. The 2 principal names arriving are Brian Dela Cruz, an outfielder from the Marlins who has 18 home runs. The other's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who is a super utility guy, and I mean super utility guy, meaning he plays like every position on the diamond, coming over from the Blue Jays. He was batting .292, 7 home runs before getting hurt in late June, expected to be back soon. And again, there's some exchange of prospects and left-handed relievers and stuff like that that's not really material to what all of the anticipation was entering this event, whether the event itself is manufactured or not. And in the context of this event, this day, as I opened the show today, Cherington made the Pirates better. I think it's incrementally better, but it's better, and better matters. If, for example, as I think everyone would expect, Dela Cruz is your right fielder, then he's going to be bumping Josh Palacios, Jack Sawinski, Edward Olivares, however it is that you'd want to play that out from a depth chart component. They're better in right field. Therefore, they're a better baseball team. With Kiner-Falefa, you can better weather the absence, however long it ends up being and how unfortunate it is, of Nick Gonzalez, because he can be your second baseman, even though Jared Triolo's played better of late. He can be even your center fielder, even though Michael A. Taylor suddenly looks like Babe Ruth. Another home run to the train tracks last night again. The point persists. You're a better baseball team. So when Cherington said after the deadline in his Zoom call with Pittsburgh reporters that he felt that it was right to do right by the 2024 players, the coaching staff, everyone else who is involved at field level, who has worked as hard as they have, who's battled as hard as they have to get where they are, which is, right now, 3 games over .500 and 2 games behind a wild card position in the National League. Again, one more time, with gusto, a good day. If you're waiting for a catch here, or for me to throw in, but I don't have one. There are things that I would have liked along the way. I've made those abundantly clear now, not just for weeks, but for months. I would have liked this to have happened earlier. I don't see a reason why it didn't happen earlier, especially when the main guy, Dela Cruz, comes from the Marlins, who've been out of it only since the Pirates showed up in Miami for the season's very first series. I would have liked to have seen something that was, crazy aggressive and really ignited the team, the city, and that would have or could have led to a significant surge in the here and now. That's me. That was my personal preference. I also would have been willing to give up a whole lot more than what it is that Cherington gave up, which was 2 prospects, one of them in the teens in the organization, another in the 20s. Not going to affect anything. I would have spent the money that had been allocated. I would have taken Bob Nutting and Travis Williams at their word, and I would have said, hey, really? You guys are giving me money? All right, I'll just go get some rental guys. But when Cherington was asked about that after the deadline, he just said nothing lined up. There wasn't anything there. Out of what was available to us in terms of just taking on an acquisition for money where we didn't have to give up prospects or players or anything like that, it just was going to be forced if it happened. And maybe that's the kind of thing that come next year or come this off season, he can say to Nutting and Williams, hey, remember that money I didn't spend this summer? Well, guess what? We're going to $100 million for the payroll. In parentheses, where it should have been for a long time, or at least for a couple of years now. Maybe that's how that works. Listen, I made my points. You just heard me essentially reiterate them, so I stand by them. But at the same time, if you've been listening to me or reading my stuff for a number of years, you know that I don't stay stubborn to something. When circumstances change, so do stances. I tell that to my staff all the time. I try to live it myself. These circumstances, since the last time you and I spoke, have changed. Not dramatically, not as much as I would have wanted. Heck, maybe it wasn't even of the GM's own volition. But I don't care about any of that. What I do care about is that the good people I've known a long time in this organization, the good people I've known who are alumni of this organization, the good people of our city who have somehow found a way to stick it out with this franchise through some of what has to be the most trying situations at times. What I want is for them to get what they want. Maybe this is, or this will be, a step forward, a small one, an incremental one, to use that term again, but nonetheless, forward. And when what we've all become way too accustomed to for way too long is the backward or the reverse, yeah, man, it's a good day. It's a good day. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Frank, who says, DK, there seemed to be some talk earlier in the season that the Pirates would limit the innings for Paul Skenes and Jared Jones, maybe even shutting them down at some point. Is that even a remote possibility, as long as this team is mathematically still in the playoff race and they're healthy? Frank, there's a really good timing component to your question, although it might not seem like that, I'm sure, to some. But you sent this after the trade deadline, and I'm going to have to presume that you did so looking at the moves, looking at the team, and saying to yourself, all right, this could be a thing. But what are the potential fatal flaws? And that, of course, would be one of them, meaning a fatal flaw in the scenario, something where you just say, none of this matters because, no Skenes, no Jones, no chance. You can't have Mitch Keller start every game. And I've been over this before, and I've done original reporting on the subject, but I also know that anytime there's a major trade or major moves or something that draws a lot of attention, you'll have people start focusing in a little bit harder, squinting to find out what's going on with the team. Here's the answer, Frank. Neither Skenes nor Jones is going to get shut down, according to the Pirates. To address these in reverse order, Jones, of course, is now hurt. He is expected to get back onto the mound at some point in, let's say, mid-August. And even that, I don't know if that means getting back on the mound in anger or getting back out there and actually pitching. He is throwing, And by that I mean outfield throwing, long tossing, not pitching, in working his way back from the lat injury. But it's still looking like another couple of weeks before you see something serious from him. In the meantime, Frank, that's the inning shutdown right there, or whatever you want to call it, the inning slowdown. That's it. He's not pitching. And by the time he returns, it'll have been 6 weeks to 2 months in which he hasn't pitched. So cross him off your list of concerns completely. With Skenes, it's different. We saw Skenes get pushed back a handful of days after the All-Star game, didn't pitch in the initial series coming out of the break. Of course, started the opening game of the ongoing series in Houston Monday night. He's got to be managed. The innings have to be managed. There's going to have to be another break. There's going to have to be longer pauses between starts. There's not a chance in the world that Charrington's army of stats geeks hasn't already mapped out all kinds of scenarios, all kinds of hypothetical calendars as to how they can make sure that Skenes doesn't get over X number of innings. And I'm saying X because they know the number, they're not sharing it. I doubt they've even told it to Skenes. And bear in mind that it might be conditional, meaning, and I know nobody'd want to deal with this reality on a happy occasion such as this, but if the Pirates were to just start fading from the race, if for whatever reason they were to just fall apart, then you don't have to do any of that with Skenes. You actually can shut him down. The difference is it wouldn't matter to the team. You could just start him every fifth day and then say, all right, that's it. Nice season. Way to go, kid. Just stand over there and wait for your Cy Young. But as things are, and as I'm not exactly foreseeing such a thing the way the team has played for about a month now, you're going to end up seeing something that's a lot more along the lines of what I just described. I appreciate the question, Frank. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We will do another one of these tomorrow.